As one might imagine, Jim Northrup is not a fan of Christopher Columbus and the whole celebration of Columbus. And so I wanted to read a passage from his book. This is on page 42, where he talks about Christopher Columbus, but more importantly, what he does after it, I think, is pretty interesting. It has been almost 500 years since native people discovered Columbus wading ashore. Almost 500 years of being identified by the wrong name. He writes, "I have nothing to celebrate. Columbus was just the point man for the invasion of this hemisphere. A way of life that was ecologically sound was transformed into a poisoned, polluted existence. Christianity and the lust for gold replaced respect for the land, air, and water. As my way of decelebrating the Columbus event, the word Indian will not cross my lips for 1 year. Instead of saying the word, I will use silence. Instead of writing the word out, I will use dashes. I am banishing the word from my vocabulary for 1 year, starting October 12, 1991. And so as you read in the book during the time that's chronicled, he does put a dash in there. He also writes, dropping the word dash, in this case Indian, might have some interesting thoughts associated with it. I would have to call that Hoosier state A. Its capital would be known as Appolis. When talking about the American blank movement, I'd have to use silence or dashes in the middle. What about the Bureau of Dash Affairs? There are enough examples to keep it interesting. So for that entire year, Jim Northrup did not use the word Indian in his protest. And he writes later in this chapter about how it awakened in him essentially how we label things, how we as people label things, and how difficult it was, even as someone who over his entire life had embraced the word, to stop using it. It was a fascinating thing.